This is Algebra 1, lesson 0-16. Today we're doing a very quick lesson on reciprocals and opposites. All right, so reciprocal. I guess the question that you can be asking over here is, what is a reciprocal? So in our minds, this is how I always want us to be thinking about reciprocal. It's a flip. Flip. And sometimes there's nothing to flip, so let me go through a few trick questions that you might encounter on the pre-test or the test. So let's look at example 1. So we'll do an easy one to begin with. So if I have a fraction like negative 2/3, the problem here is find the reciprocal. I don't want to write out the instructions because I'm just going to make them verbal. Find the reciprocal of negative 2/3. The reciprocal of negative 2/3, anyone want to do a quiet raised hand to get XP? What is the reciprocal of negative 2/3? I see Andres, I see Sergio, I see Fernando, I see Andres. I said Andres already. I see Jose. We'll give it to Andres.
Okay, the reciprocal for negative 2/3 is 3 over negative 2.
3 over negative 2. You guys agree? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Thumbs in the middle for a lot of us. Fernando, talk to me. Why did you thumbs in the middle?
Would it be positive 2?
Oh, that's a good question. What do we think? Positive 2 or negative 2? So Andres actually has it correct. It is just, you flip it like this. There's no change of the negatives. There are a few different ways to write this. And before I move on too quickly, let me go ahead and give XP. And Fernando still did get the XP for volunteering. So yeah, all you have to do is switch it. This is the same thing as negative 3 over 2, which is the same thing as negative 3 over 2. You could have the negative out in front, you can have the negative on the top, you can have the negative on the bottom. It doesn't matter where the negative is as long as there is at least one negative in that fraction. All of those are the same. Let's look at a harder example and then we'll move on to the next slide. Example 2. Let's look at 3. Just the number 3. How do I take the reciprocal of a number that doesn't appear to be a fraction? This is a harder question. Fernando knows. Sergio knows. Oh, wow. A lot of people know. All right. We'll give it to Julian.
Put a 1 under it?
A 1 in front of it?
Or under it?
Oh, under it. Okay. And then what do I do? Flip it so it becomes 1/3. Very nice. Yeah. So you guys are, it looks like you're already experienced in those trick questions. Cool. Let's go to the next slide. I'm going to make sure everyone's finished writing though. And again, we are boxing final answers. So if I have multiple final answers, I will box each of those. If you haven't been boxing your answers in your notes, go ahead and do that right now. All right, I'm moving on to the next slide. Opposites. You're going to ask the question over here. It's going to be similar to the last question. I'll let you figure out what that question is going to be. But opposite, and here's our red star. The thing you need to remember from the notes here, opposite. That is the same thing as change, positive, or negative. I'm going to write this, change positive or negative. So if it was a positive, make it negative. If it was a negative, make it a positive. So let's do 2 examples and then we'll be done with the notes. Example number 3. So these questions are find the opposite. So find the opposite of negative 3 over 2. The opposite of negative 3 over 2 turns into what? Quiet raised hand if you think you have the answer. I see Gunner's hand. I see Jose's hand. I see Cohen's hand. Jose. 2/3 like that. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Agree or disagree? Ooh, I see 2 thumbs down, 1 thumbs up, a thumb in the middle. Thumb in the middle. Why do you have the thumbs down, Gunnar?
Because it's actually -2/3.
So -2/3 like that. That would make it correct. All right, now what do we think? Thumbs up or thumbs down? No one is voting. Okay, on this answer, -2/3. Oh, my hat's falling off. On -2/3, thumbs up or thumbs down? Is it correct or is it incorrect? Everyone has to vote. And it's okay if you're wrong. Like, I just want to see what you guys are thinking. Interesting, interesting. All right, so let me go ahead and reward people for volunteering. So first, Jose, it was actually incorrect, but thank you for trying. And then Gunnar is also incorrect, but you still get XP for trying. So this one is just 3/2. It's the same number, but without the negative. 3/2 was the number, and I got rid of the negative. So it's now 3/2. Again, opposite just means you change the positive and negative. Don't worry about flipping it. It's still the same number, but just with another negative sign, essentially. You're multiplying by -1. So another way of saying this one, if this doesn't make sense, I can say things like 5 different ways. Another way to say this one is multiply by -1. So multiply -3/2 by -1, and I get 3/2. Let's try another example to see what's happening. Example number 4. Let's look at 7/9. What is the opposite of 7/9? 7/9. All right. Gunnar has an answer. Sergio has an answer. Fernando has an answer. Andres has an answer. Cohen has an answer. We'll give it to Cohen. -7/9. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Agree or disagree? Everyone has to vote. I also agree that it is correct. It is -7/9. Thank you, Cohen. All right, all you're doing is multiply by -1. It's pretty straightforward. All right, fist of 5, opposites and reciprocals. How confident are you? If you're giving me a 3 or less, I'm going to do one more example. So if you want another example, give me 3 or less. Everyone hold up fist of 5. How comfortable are we doing reciprocals and opposites? All right, let's just do one more where we have to find both. We'll just do one more opposite. Example 5. I want you to find the opposite of -3/1, which is the same thing as -3. What is the opposite of -3/1? Keep your hand raised if you want to try to take a guess at this one. Or if you have an answer, you might have the correct answer. All right, Sergio.
3/1.
Positive 3/1, yeah. There it is. All you do is take away the negative or add another, multiply by -1. Same thing, 3/1. Thank you. Where are you? Last one. All right. It's alphabetical, Mr. Sandell. You should know that by now. All right. That concludes the notes. Go ahead and make sure that you have a question for this part up here. Probably your question will be, what is an opposite? And make sure that you have a summary at the very bottom. That concludes the notes.